if people are tuning back in, they've seen The Office previously in its first iteration with wires and boxes unopened everywhere. And so I think this one, just real quick, talking about unpacking the truck and the uncertainty and all these things that go into it. It's really challenging to build a studio in a temporary space where you know you're going to be for at least 1 year and you're signing a lease, so you don't want to damage everything, but you still want sound deadening, you still want it to look good, and so...
And it perfectly blends into what we're going to talk about later, which is the whole concept of overbuilding and when to not overbuild.
100%. And so striking that balance is actually exceedingly difficult, and we can talk about that more in that video. But for this one, I'm really glad we were able to figure out how to get these panels. Luckily, you brought all your saw equipment and whatever, and so we were able to cut them and stitch everything together in a way that seems to have worked out pretty well. Obviously, we're balling on a budget with our studio, but I think it works really well for this first iteration, and so I'm really happy with how it turned out. And any advice that you would give to people if they're building in a small, echoey, reverby space, they're on a budget, and they're renting, anything that you learned from our build that you would want to pass along to people?
Sure. So having been someone that has moved on average every 18 months over the last 6 years, I can speak a lot actually to the process of when you do have to take down something that you put up, what does that actually entail? So if you look behind us here with these panels, we put these up in about 2 days, and one of the big topics that we were trying to debate on was how we were going to do this on the background. And these panels here, you can probably speak a little bit more to them, but they have sound deadening foam that's behind it, right? Is that a good way to describe what's behind this veneer wood?
Polyethylene, yeah.
Yeah,
felt.
Some specific felt that it has audio acoustic dampening properties, right? And we were talking about, at one point using glue, at one point using 3M Velcro strips.
Magnets.
And I remember just kind of being like, hey, time out here. And even magnets too. Actually, magnets would have been cool. But all of those required a pretty large surface area of direct contact with the wall behind us. And even 3M strips, maybe I just have not cracked the code after all those moves. When I do pull them off, even though they say that they're easy tabs, they almost always take some of the drywall paint off. And so what we decided to do here was we started it from the approach of what's going to have the least amount of holes or wall repair. Great, we're going to use a couple 2x4s. So we ended up doing two 2x4s behind here, and we do have a photo that we can show in this video. I don't know if it has it at that stage yet of when we did the two 2x4s, but that basically bumped this out. So now we only have a couple screws inside of the wall, and screws are really easy to do patch and repair. We have the paint for it, which is cool. And then on top of that, we screwed in these sound panels here on top of those 2x4s. And so the nice thing there is, we can still access the behind the wall, extremely difficult, but there is room, a mini, literally for a catwalk, more like a mouse walk, but for things like the outlets, the extenders, the light switch behind you that you can't even see because it's actually concealed. And that allowed us some working room. The other thing that's a benefit actually is it does kind of keep the sound, any sound that comes in,
bouncing.
It's another area for it to kind of get trapped, even though it's not an exact perfect trap for audiophiles out there that are into that sound. It's not a perfect wall that's squared off, but it does further help to dampen the sound. And I would say, between that, the carpet we now have in here, and then you also got talk to us about how you sourced, these panels.
So we, in the past, we had used those hexagonal, again, you can see those self-stick panels, or these panels. In the past, they weren't self-stick. You had to glue them onto your wall. And they're hexagonal shape, and you would just put them on your wall. You've seen them in different offices or kids' playrooms, you'll see them on. And they're all over not Instagram. They're all over, they are on Instagram. They're on Amazon, and they're also at stores like Michael's and Target now. They're pretty mainstream. And so I'm they were really expensive, and I had to get command strips and do this whole office that we did last time with them. And that was painful because those command strips ripped the paint off the wall everywhere. So we ended up leaving them at that place. But for this time around, I was able to find these peel and stick ones, which were way less expensive, and they actually have a mural on them, which I wouldn't say these are groundbreaking. I mean, it's no Leonardo da Vinci or anything like that, but it's not horrible to look at. And so I'm happy with the way that those turned out. They seem to reduce the echo considerably. And so overall, I'm really happy. The lighting in this room, I think, could probably still be improved. But the big thing is like Philips Hue products have gotten really expensive. And so especially these gradient bars. And so like I was trying to figure out how could we get those on a budget. And what I was able to do was source the small monitor gradient bars. And that took it from like $200-300 for a gradient light strip, which is, they're basically self-diffused. Like a lot of light strips will have the LEDs on it, and that will actually like be horrible, like cataracts for a camera. So I was able to find those, and I was in the process of over-engineering how to get those in there, and then we figured out a solution that elegantly works. But overall, I'm really happy with where we came from and what we were able to do with, not a ton of resources. And like these panels, it's really cool the way we hung them up. We could easily reuse them.
Yeah, it's a two-way door, right? Like we could take this to the next studio. We can move these around easily when we change offices, we change locations, and that's a nice thing about it. I would say also too, you did your research, and we obviously sourced these from Amazon because of the time. We wanted to get this set up pretty quickly, and from a decision-making standpoint, of course, the shipping packages. I wish we had a photo of those. Those were about 9 feet long. Yeah. So, and they were somewhat heavy. It was difficult to bring them in the house. We had to carefully maneuver around through doorways, but they were returnable. And so at the end of the day, it's really easy to over-rotate on, are all the colors for all the different sets going to match perfectly? We saw some kind of horror stories on that. But, you just kind of order it, you get it, and then but the biggest thing I think to giving you confidence is having a plan in mind. The plan might not go exactly perfect once you get going, but have a plan for how you're going to assemble it, and it'll help you make the decision a lot quicker.
I think to add on to that, just like life though, it's like have the flexibility. It's like 80-20. Plan for the 80%, but then that 20% is going to go wrong or be unknown. Because like the original way that we were thinking about doing the lights or hanging these up, like it does change as you're going through the project. And so, and especially this house that we're in is like hundreds of years old. And so this floor sags in the middle a little bit. And so cutting these to height, and then some of the mistakes we made when cutting them, like, it didn't turn out exactly perfect, but we were able to work with it and make it, still work. So
is there anything that now that you didn't know before you started this project that you think would be really valuable to share some insight to?
I hadn't worked with these panels before. I had no idea like what drilling into them was going to be like to hide the wires for these lights, like how all of it. Like, and also the way that they're affixed to the 2x4s, was it going to be too floppy with two 2x4s? Would we add another one? I don't really know that I would have done it a whole lot differently. Like, obviously, I hope this works. Ultimately, the studio is worthless if our content doesn't help people and get views and whatever, and the rest of it's irrelevant. So I don't know if I would have done it differently. I'm excited to keep improving it as we learn new things. Like, we got a comment on a video about audio, a way we could improve our audio. Like, I'm excited to keep learning and tweaking it. So I think this is a great starting point, though.
Yeah, I would say I was shocked at how little we had to do to actually really reduce the echo and the sound. I would say to anybody who's considering a project like this, think about one wall at a time or one floor at a time, and just kind of add some stuff that dampens the sound, like the panels, the carpet, the backdrop here, and then see how it changes. Don't overthink about you have to cover every square inch of the room, because we achieved a pretty drastic reduction, more than I expected, considering we still have a decent amount of walls here that don't have sound paneling on them. So I think that was something that really surprised me after doing this.
Cool. Wanted to hear.